So quickly in China they are building a bridge over which, for the first time on the planet, trains will rush right over the sea at a speed of 350 km per hour. And here they also learned how to build skyscrapers in 19 days, hospitals in 10, residential buildings, well in general in a day from scratch they laid more high-speed railways than the whole world stadiums taken together. Tunnels under the sea for kilometer-long bridges. Everything that I just through in can generally be plotted in 1 second. How China turned from a poor village into the main world builder and investor. And why? This is just the beginning. You know what? United is the new station of the Moscow Metro Machinsky prospect of the African Union, a seaport for Sri Lanka, is all being built the Chinese, that we estimate a real appetite machine. The largest bridge in Africa is being built with Chinese money, 500,000 km long at a finger at a speed of 300 meters per day. It was a Chinese service. How much money China earns at construction site in Africa? In 2003, it was $2.5 billion, already not bad. Now it's 25 times more every year, almost 50 billion stable. How they will conquer the world without guns? What are the main advantages of Chinese construction? The first, they do it faster than everyone. The second is cheaper than everyone else. And the third, they will build with the pleasure. Tunnels for the same high-speed metro railways are some kind of fierce condition. Here they dig a curved path to Djibouti, inside the sea at an altitude of several thousand meters, where is simply not enough oxygen. Or they dig the longest tunnel under the sea, with this technique of work moving at a speed of 10 meters per day, and it costs only $10 million per kilometer. So that we compare the United States, the same 1 kilometer tunnel will cost $50 million, and in Moscow, according to official data, the metro is being built from $60 to $93 million per kilometer. In Sri Lanka, eventually decided to develop their own development and build new deep water port. Well, but there is not money. As a result, Chinese come to help. The port and business agreed to construction. Naturally, with the development of business, and then there's Sri Lanka to pay a loan, need more yard of dollars. As you remember, there is no money. For real illicit indeed, that's worth not to in vain. In 2017, Sri Lanka agrees that part of the territory is actually given to China. By the way, the same can happen with the Kenyan port of Mombasa. Remember 500 kilometers of the railway was built in record time. You understand, not for free. But you will support the interest only the Kenyan debt is almost $5 billion. There now they will kill the proceedings. There is simply no money. But I think the methods of the Chinese are unstable. As the American President John Adams said, there are two ways to conquer states. First by sword, second by death. China decided second way. The rule chooses the second higher than the should. We are seeing, well, how did China take a sharp step forward and how much power it still has. Because if you remember, in the middle of 20th century, everyone admired the Japanese economy. Service construction technologies, and then everything stopped abruptly. Let's rewind time just 40, about 50 years ago, the end of the 60s of the 20th century. The Soviet Union is building at an excellent place in country, and it seemed like a league of type of metro and Chinese builders come to consult. They are only in Beijing, which are going to the subway, so they came to learn. Well, or as future history will show, cut off all the good things. But at that time, Western videographers admired not Chinese, but the Soviet scale setting up the sharing track maintained. You have to jump contrast, and in principle then China as a country is nothing special planet economy portraits of leaders. their community signals. There is the economic bomb come out, a lot of inflation and shoots, and an infant, but watch the numbers, they will tell everything. In 1980, 17% of the inhabitants of the Soviet Union already live in cities. This is about 10 million people. In the same 80, the same 200 million already Chinese in China also live in cities. But the difference is that the population in China at that moment was not 288 million Soviet citizens, but a billion. That is, it turns out 100 million of this billion. This is the lowest village. They live on less than $2 a day and work inefficiently. There is a very cheap labor force in China. It was in bulk. You just had to figure out where to pull it out the Chinese fields and attach it. And in the same 1980, the new Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping decided to experiment. Before that, he visited Singapore and was shocked by how good it turned out there can live and develop. And then my favorite stories follows about how a fishing village of 30,000 inhabitants, this time Shenzhen, in 40 years turns into Chinese Silicon Valley of 20 million people. Deng Xiaoping creates a free economic zone in Shenzhen for foreigner companies. What China process well? The first thing to be built and developed. Shenzhen will be only on your guys for foreign investments because we don't have enough money. Only a billion port. But for the foreign investments to come, foreigners are exempted from duties and corporate tax. That is, if there is no profit, you pay nothing. If there is still 5 years profit, you can rest. We will wait, therefore, a lot of additional economic discounts of tourists. The second, everything that will be produced in Shenzhen will be exported, as they say, for hard currency. And the third, Shenzhen was chosen not by chance. Look at what is called Hong Kong and Taiwan. Across the road where the smoke from economic development, and China successfully sits on the smoke shell, because all 40 years Shenzhen GDP will add 20% per year, out of 30 million will soar to 400 billion. What does construction technology have to do with it? But remember, the story with the arrival of Chinese millions of builders to Moscow to study. And here you don't need to go anywhere. The Chinese ingeniously turn the move that all the builders themselves come and bring both money and technology. Well, there is a good example, 2005. In both China and Russia, there is one common problem. The distance between cities is large, and it's not possible to move quickly. It turns out we already need high-speed trains. They don't exist. This is a problem. We look at how Putin's friends and Schroeder solve the issues differently. And also while waiting for Siemens, they sign a contract according to which they will start to drive Penny Falcons in Russia. Their rural trains will be produced in Russia with a warrant winter. The issue price is 2 years of euros. Who now thinks to be surprised, and the fact that we are driving Russian Penny Falcons, as it were, it's not as a result. The trains from the Germans are simply yours to buy for $276 billion, and another 350 for a Fennec. And for all these 70 years, Russia will actually get only 2 high-speed ranges from Moscow to St. Petersburg, and there is a lower one. But what does China do? Remind me of high-speed rail. They also don't have their own normal station too. So they earned some, but they seem like even what to do a similar move. Let's turn to a proven foreigner, but drag technology to ourselves, because the quote from the local leadership sounds like this: all development cannot be beneficial only to foreign economies. For 17 years, China's high-speed railways are thumping fierce $300 billion, so that you understand this is approximately the annual budget of Russia. And they said practically from scratch, China will create 40,000 kilometers of high-speed branches. Now, this is more than the rest of the world combined. And plus, China will have such a variety of high-speed comrades of its own production. For example, the RX480 is a Chinese board but that squeezes 350 km per hour. It was developed by the Chinese, not by themselves, by attention of the Germans, Siemens and the Score from the Japanese fishing line, but it's produced exclusively in China. But this gigantic spending on their own infrastructure launched such a crazy first of developing their own technologies that they splashed out and have already spilled out beyond the Chinese. And government investment in new factories and factories here and China is doing the same investment. Factories here and China is doing the same investing in technology and construction inside the country, but at the time, amazingly smart people are dying from their weaker outside. So be strong, yourself and your future.